Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the last Sunday of me stumbling over the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Shenandoah Valley. We're a liberal congregation without any particular creed, but we do adhere to 8 principles, which are printed on the inside of your order of service and a mission statement on the front of your order of service. We like to say that we don't have to think alike to love alike, which means that we welcome everyone, whether you are young or old, tall or short, gay or straight, have gray hair, purple hair, or no hair, you're welcome here. We have a tradition of inviting first or second time visitors or those who've been away for a while to stand and introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from. Is there anybody on this side who would like to stand and introduce themselves? No? Nobody over there? Nobody new? Michael must be slacking off. How about on this side? Is there anyone new on this side who would like to stand and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
My name is Catherine, and I'm originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Roll Tide. I've lived in Asheville since 2011. I moved here from Tennessee. It's a long story. So she and my stepdad, they got married in 2004, and in 2005 we moved to Waverly, Tennessee. Never go there.
Well, we're glad you found your way here this morning.
Well, here because my sister was having her first baby, so I moved here to help with them.
Well, that's awesome. Welcome. Okay, if you're new and you would like to learn more about our congregation, there should be a white card inside, like in the back of the pew or in the hymnal. And feel free to fill one of those out and we'll contact you as you would like to be contacted, whether it's email or phone or whatever it might be. Okay, did I get everybody? Is there anybody else who's new who would like to stand and introduce themselves? Okay. I have some announcements that people gave to me. The first one, which I don't have written down, so I'm going to say it first, is that adultery, we call it, adult RE. Religious education is meeting tomorrow night at, where's Susan? Where are you, Susan? Oh, she's in the RE room with the kids, sorry. Does anybody know what time that's at off the top of their head? 6 o'clock, okay, 6 o'clock tomorrow is adult religious education. Okay, another announcement is from the Social Action Committee. A general reminder that our bulletin board now has a folder full of information on our True Earth fundraiser with some of the information and a sample laundry sheet for you to try. Not only will we raise some money for Social Action Committee, but you can reduce your plastic footprint as well. The Social Action Committee has decided that proceeds from January and February 2023 will be donated to an agency working on human trafficking, as January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Our voice will be the designated agency to help with their work with human trafficking survivors. So if you're not familiar with this, these are strips of laundry detergent rather than having the liquid in the bottle, the big bottles, to cut down on plastic. They make these little strips, and there are samples out there on the bulletin board. Okay, any other announcements that I'm not remembering that somebody told me to give? Oh, yeah, that's right. I know you sent me. I knew somebody sent me one, but I couldn't remember who it was or what it was.
Maida Commerce, who was here in July speaking, directs a program called Story Medicine for Racial Healing, and they're about to have another session of it. So if you're interested, I have a flyer, and I'll be out in the what's that called? Porch. Portico. And they're available. Thank you. I'll be able to answer any questions you have about it.
Okay, I think that's it. Okay, if everyone would please silence your cell phones. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement statement, and then we'll get on with our service. The UUCSB acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and of other indigenous people. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrived in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. And now, let our service begin.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you this morning? Boy, January just flew by, didn't it? Okay. The words of Unitarian Universalist Deborah Falk: a chalice is lit in our midst, and it is a symbol of our liberal faith. A faith built on the foundations of freedom and reason and welcome. A faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice. A faith that envisions a world flourishing with equality for all people. A faith that demands the living out of goodness. A faith that requires thoughtfulness and wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark which is in each and every one of us. Thank you, Diana. So please rise as you are willing and able and join in singing our opening hymn this morning. Hymn number 163. Please be seated. Our responsive reading this morning is from Unitarian Henry David Thoreau. You like him? Yeah. Number 660. To live deliberately. Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life?
We are determined to be starved before we are hungry.
I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life.
I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not, when I come to die, discover that I have not lived.
I do not wish to live what is not life. Living is so dear.
Nor do I wish to practice resignation, unless it is quite necessary.
I wish to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life.
I want to cut a raw swath to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms.
If it proves to be mean, then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world.
For it is mine to know it by experience and to be able to give true accountability.
So this is the time in the service when we invite you to come and share a joy and a concern. The mic is on. Diane will light your fire as she does every Sunday. And the floor is yours.
My name is Joy, and I have a pretty sad story to tell you. Lovely neighbors across the street from me, one to the right, one to the left. Well, Stephen's tree fell onto Thelma's house.
My name is Jim, and I had two great joys this weekend. First of all, you can tell from my shirt, I got a birthday gift from Finley and his family when we were in the corn maze scaring his parents, and they gave me this wonderful shirt to commemorate that event with them. And last night we had some friends over from Fairview, and instead of a gift, I asked them each to bring a haiku. And as some of you know, a haiku is a short poem that is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And the best one last night was from Susan, who unfortunately couldn't come, so I don't know any more about this than what she wrote. But she did deliver the haiku to me. He still doesn't know. He backed into our car once. Silly Jim, our dear friend.
Hi, my name's Larry. I'd like to light a candle of both joy and concern. Marty is en route today to New York City, to Manhattan, to spend a week with her family. As most of you know, her son-in-law has some heart problems, just had a pacemaker installed at 38 years old, and has some additional heart problems as well. And then her grandson, which he has mentioned at times, has long COVID symptoms, which are lingering and causing him a lot of difficulty. So she's gone up there to see if she can help out. She'll be gone for about a week, so you won't see her today or next Sunday, and then she'll be back with us.
I'm Mary Soyanova, and this is a very quick ongoing saga from the coffee lady. I started out with putting 1 scoop of coffee in, and then Jean told me, Sue Stone said it was very weak. So the next time I looked at the directions and I put in not 2, I put in 3 scoops. This week I read the directions. They again, it says 3/4 of a cup. So this time we should have good coffee. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, you can have that. So there you are.
Hi, I'm Evan, and last week I got up and told you about my son's terrible basketball team. After 8 losses, they finally won their first game.
My name's Jonathan. Hello. I have a joy this week. Foster, for one, being here today, but yesterday he graduated Owen High School. And is, he's looking to go just have adventures all over the world. So you can share some, maybe some adventures that, well, he's looking at India, really. So if anybody has any good ideas for India, please share. Thank you.
Congratulations, brother. I want to light a candle for Brother Tyree Nichols, who has crossed over. There's nothing more really to say. And I want to light a candle, if you would, for Officer Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, and Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith, who have taken leave of their senses. And the hits just keep on coming. So, for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up, that's fine. We keep you in our thoughts and in our prayers. Thank you, Daddy. Okay. Now we continue, I'm sure. I want to share a reading from one of my favorite books by John O'Donohue, To Bless the Space Between Us. And this is a meditation, it's called For Old Age. And so please center yourselves as you only know how to do for yourselves, and we will have a time of quiet. May the light of your soul mind you. May all your worry and anxiousness about your age be transfigured. May you be given wisdom for the eyes of your soul to see this as a time of gracious harvesting. May you have the passion to heal what it is that hurt you. May you allow it to come closer and become one with you. May you have great dignity and sense just how free you really are. Above all, may you be given the wonderful gift of meeting the eternal light that is within you. May you be blessed, and may you find a wonderful love in yourself, for yourself. And now, while our minds are one, for just this brief moment, it's hard to sustain that, I leave you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. I'm only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. And in that spirit, we will now collect this morning's offering. Thank you for your generosity. You don't have to stand for our national anthem, but spirit of life. 1, 2, 3, our UU national anthem. If you choose to rise, if not, tell me via email that if life is a gift, why can't we return it to the sender? So, just at the outset, you know, I'm just giving you how I'm feeling. I'm sure Brother Tyree would say, I want to live my life. But you have to take the message in any way you deem fit. I do want to start off with, you know, it wasn't last week, it was the week before that Joy and Bill Altork reminded us that life is not for the faint of heart. Getting old is not for the faint of heart. And I want to share with you a couple of quotes. David Bowie said, aging is an extraordinary process where you become the person you always should have been. You've heard this with Mark Twain. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant, I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years. This poem by Maya Angelou, when you see me walking and stumbling, don't study and get it wrong. 'Cause tired don't mean lazy, and every goodbye ain't gone. I'm the same person I was back then, with a little less hair and a little less chin, a lot less lungs and much less wind. But ain't I lucky, I can still breathe in. But on a more serious note, Mark Twain says, don't complain about growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. And aging is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, then it don't matter. Before we get into the meat of this, I want to say this, just to get it out of the way. Every age has its wisdom. You have to remember that. While I was thinking, you know, about this sermon, I was thinking about generations, and I've come to this conclusion. Each generation has its own challenges and its own wisdom. I can't tell you how it triggers me when I hear people my generation and older talking about the young people and what they don't do and how they should behave. And I say, look at the world we've left them. Each generation has its own challenges and wisdom. So a woman or man, a person of color or a white person, a gay person or a heterosexual person, a non-binary person, or anyone in between has a particular view of things while residing in the system that no one else can. We each bring our own unique perspectives. That's why each of us, in our own way, must find the wisdom and seek to be the voice of our own time. of our own place, of our own ethnicity, if you will, and culture. Life is a kaleidoscope. It's an amazing kaleidoscope in which every color and every pattern and every shape is part of a larger whole, and that if that piece wasn't there, we would all be lacking. Being a baby boomer myself, I used to see my generation in relation to the ones that came before it. That's why I was brainwashed with that. That's how we all were. I was trained to look at it that way. But now, however, with millennials and Generation X and Z assuming their roles on the generational Ferris wheel, if you will, of change, I see my generation as much in relation to those who came after us as to those who've come before. I look at the younger people, and I am fascinated, and I think thoughts like, that's how they do 25 now. That's how you do 16, 17 now. Every generation arrives on the stage of life with a rambunctious, we're here. You did too. Now the world, because we're here, now the world will get it right. And when you're young, it's difficult to realize that dreams don't come true. Some don't come true. And that the world will try and break you. Disappointments will follow no matter who you are. And then hopefully, finally, there will come acceptance. Not necessarily acquiescence, but there will come acceptance. But then, in unexpected ways from what we may have thought about when we were younger, you come into a power. There's a power that we have now that we did not have when we were younger. Maybe we didn't even think we would ever have this power. So keep in mind that each generation has its own way of expressing truth. I had a sense of what I wanted and needed as a younger man, and I have an increasingly strong sense of what I want to say as an older man. In the words of Hemingway, the world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong in the broken places. To my mind, that's what it means to get older. Now not getting weaker, but getting stronger, having been humbled, coming out of the experience honed and ready for whatever comes next. You know, my mom is in her 80s. She's a 2-time cancer survivor. And my stepdad is I think he's 90 now. And this is what they've been taught. That when you get to be a certain age, this is what's going to happen. But that's not necessarily true. I used to try to get her to change that, but that's her life. It's hard enough for me to live mine. But I'm just saying that no one has to define things. Yes, things happen as we get older, but each individual and each generation has the right to live out its story and its wisdom, and hopefully to share what it has learned. No matter how old we are, our story is important and it is unique. And as long as you're here, you are needed. Because if your mission was done, you'd be gone. Now, for those of you who are tired of living and afraid of dying, I don't know what to tell you. But if it's that bad, just pull the trigger. If it's that bad. If it's that bad. Because there are too many people, I mean, my brother was murdered, who wished they could still be here. And you have the gift of life. The rambunctiousness of youth is alchemized into something new as we grow older. And it's just as important as, and it's just as beautiful is what I want you to hear. Sometimes I look into the mirror, and I say, man, I wish I was a little younger. But looking into my soul, I'm glad I'm where I am. I earned this, as did you. We tend to think of youth and old, young and old, and youth and age as bookends of our experience. We begin in one state, the proverbial blank slate of innocence and playful, spontaneous energy. And in the end, if we're lucky, we get some wisdom. We return to a kind of innocence, a physical vulnerability, but finally a blank state. We are bound to this illusion of linear time. We mark the days of our lives in sequential order, and we've done this for millennia as a species. And the truth of the matter is that aging can at times be an awful and difficult thing for us to experience. We get that. For many of us, this is the first time we've ever been older. And it just sort of creeps up on us. We turn on the left turn signal and we leave it on all the rest of the day. We have to write things down more in case we forget, and then we forget that we wrote it down. Or maybe even I forget to look at it, so what's the point? We tell the same story all over again to our friends. You ever do that? And they want to say, you're mistaking me for someone who wants to hear this a 10th time. And so, but maturity is more about one's perspective, about life experience, than it is about chronological age. I've learned that aging is necessary, but maturing is optional. However, if Madison Avenue has its way, and it usually does, while living in a culture that fights aging with all the energy it can muster, I wonder if we as a culture will ever really come to accept the gift that is aging. When I was an actor in New York, and remember, I was a man, so it was a little different. As I got older, I became, whatever it is you become. Like a fine wine. That's it. What is it? For men, we get that. For women, you're like not even a human anymore. You're a cougar, you're an animal. And the dearth of roles in Hollywood and on Broadway as women get older. I couldn't wait to get older. When I played older roles, I couldn't wait to put baby powder in my hair, but because I knew that somehow for me, I can't tell you, maybe it was a life before, but I knew my life would get better as I got older. I knew it. And 65 just stuck in my mind. I don't know how, and my life has gotten better. I knew that though. But I was also in a culture that I had the privileges as a heterosexual man that my mom didn't have. Weird. The fact of the matter is that whether one is a Buddhist or not, we have to come to the realization that impermanence is real. Everything changes. Now, emotionally, not just intellectually, this simply means that everything we love and care about, our friends, family, and even ourselves, will change, transform, and pass away. To accept this as a fact means to be mature. It means to have a spiritual depth instead of complaining about it all the time. To accept this as a fact means that the same is true when we get older, but aging doesn't have to be depressing. It doesn't have to be. Aging and its accomplishments, the process of transformation, can be a very positive time for us, opening us to new and exciting possibilities. New beginnings. Gratitude. What a concept. That you're alive. This can profoundly affect our lives. There's an old Zen Buddhist saying, every breath new chances. With 80 million baby boomers in their 50s and 60s, this research, which is called gerontology, is still a growing field. Of course, the research shows that regular exercise and a healthy diet are key, but so is serving others. So is nurturing relationships. I mean, can you imagine being married to someone who's just complaining all the time? That life isn't fitting into the kind of like their worldview and they're getting older? That's not going to be fun. And spending time in nature is crucial. For this research, I read a book called Aging as a Spiritual Practice by a Buddhist monk named Louis Richmond. He says that everything changes, but what he means is that everything ages. He writes, intellectually, we know this. We know that everything ages. We see it all around us. But as we grow older, the fact is more difficult to shrug off. Aging is not just change. It's irreversible change. No matter how many implants and what did you get, for better or worse, irreversible change means there's no going back. And so this fact, stay with me now, it's not going to be that much longer. I see you nodding off. I'm going to write your names down too. You say, man, I'm old, I just can't stay up. This fact also, it requires acceptance on our part. People are living longer now than we ever have. The life expectancy at the beginning of the 20th century was 45 years young. 45. Yeah. Not unless you went to war and that got cut short too. But the chances are much greater now, people living to 80s, 90s, well past 100, which means that right now, 50s and 60s, you're just getting revved up. Right? And granted, we may not know just what is coming our way, but a whole new experience awaits us. And for me, by just turning 65, I get it. I'm closer to the end of this journey than I am at the beginning. Than I was at the beginning. This is just what it is. So we all realize we're getting older in one way or another. One of those ways is when you see parents die. Not even when they die, but as they get older. What's the old adage? Once an adult, twice a child. Now, I've heard folks say they don't want to live to a ripe old age, and there are many reasons for this. Yet life is a gift. And if you're still here, again, then you've got something to do. There's a period of adjustment, obviously. You have to learn to accept and to settle in. There will be goals that you did not reach. There are goals that I wanted to do. And it just doesn't look like I'm going to get to those goals in this lifetime. Maybe next time. That's my belief system. But you as you get older, you say, man, I did the best I could. I made some people happy. There's some things that I've accomplished. There's a growing sense of inner peace and security. If you got regrets, there's therapy. No, I don't mean that. I mean, you need to talk that out. But you can't let that's like a ball and chain that's on your leg. And you can't move forward. Because, I didn't do this. I wanted to be in Denzel Washington, but I became a UU minister. I wanted to work at the UN as an ambassador, and, I'm at a happy hour in Florida. It's not so bad. With every anniversary or birthday, with every notice we receive of a friend or someone who is ill or has died, we're reminded of the impermanence of life. And the Buddha tells us that constancy is an illusion. It's an illusion. And when you accept this, then you're really free. You are liberated. The challenge then becomes how well I can adjust and accept this and how flexible I can be. Change works both ways. In a groundbreaking book written in the 1950s called Childhood and Society, Dr. Erik Erikson introduced the theory of the human psyche that it develops in stages, begins with the infants, a basic sense of trust, and concluding with an elderly person's sense of integration. He describes integration as a time when we come to the point of being able to understand our place in the world. That's a powerful place to be. When you've got your theology together, you've got your life together. And this is my place in the world. And this is why I came here. And this is why I am here. Brother Tyree's not going to get that this time around. And if you're complaining, think again. And when you think like this, you don't become a victim of change, you become an agent of change. And you find a new way of looking at life. Because the truth of the matter is, only children look forward to getting older. The rest of us wish we could stop time, but we have no power over the aging process. It is here. It's upon us. No matter how many hair implants and plastic surgery, they don't make us younger. And it can feel like a curse, especially in a society that worships youth. So it may be difficult to grasp and understand our culture's obsession with youth. Politicians know this when they refuse to put more resources into schools, nutrition, healthcare programs. Children don't vote. And seniors are overlooked because you're not contributing to society. We no longer leave citizens on ice for wolves to get. At least I don't think we do. But we still abandon them to retirement homes, and instead of finding ways to help them contribute to their communities, but we press on. So aging inevitably brings these losses. Loss of employment and identity, the loss of the illusion of control, of physical strength and health, the loss of friends, the loss of this illusion of I'm invincible, but it also bestows a vast array of blessings on us. And if we're fortunate, we may retire and enjoy the freedom of life without work, the joy of grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the identity as the elder of a family, the perspective on life that can only be gained through living, the awareness of human. You are an elder now. You are wise, probably wiser than you really think you are. And you only get there by getting older. Carl Jung saw the afternoon phase of our lives, the senior time of our lives, as a time for reflection, for integration of energies, because we're going forward. Remembering things past, our morning years of childhood, gleaning those memories, spreading that wisdom on. If we're lucky, if we're open to it, we may finally reach the transcendent state within our psyches where we become who we really are, where we become the self with a capital S. Aging is just another word for living. And one day, you will look back and see all along that you were really blooming. I want to close with this quote from the Benedictine nun by the name of Joan Chittister. You've heard of her. She wrote a book about aging entitled The Gift of the Years. She says, I will close with this. This is at the end of her book. She says, we have every right to live in gratitude for all the stages of life that brought us here. It's a right. For all the moments that give us great joy, for all the people who helped us get this far, the accomplishments we carved on our hearts along the way. These experiences cry out. They cry out to be celebrated. They are no more past than we are. And they live in us forever. May it always be so. Amen. Ashe. And blessed. That's the best I can do. If you still feel like jumping off the roof, I'm sorry. I'm going to go home and watch the football game. You can jump if you want. Please rise as you are willing and able. If I don't see you here someday, I know you jumped. Yes, please.
This hymn has 6 verses. We don't always.
Oh my Lord.
No, wait. We don't always sing the 6 verses. But I'm proposing that we sing especially the one with the tears and the pain in honor of Tyree.
Yes. 6 verses. You're getting older while you're singing it.
Yeah.
All righty. I have to look at it next time. Thanks, Lindsay. Show some love today. You know, there's something I forgot. I wanted to say this. It's kind of awful. You know, we got some new members, and that's always great. We got a hell of a board here. I must tell you that. I have to tell you that. And I've seen them come and go. And we just get better. Board members, I know Sally's out here. Board members, raise your hand, please. I want you to thank these folks when you get a chance. I gotta tell you, I forgot. And we're going into the new year, and they bring, you know, we're an older congregation, we get that, but they bring the wisdom and the expertise and the compassion and love to make us the congregation we are. So I just want you to hear that because I got to write it down. Because I forgot. I was going to do that at the beginning. So may the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds and puts to flight all our fears, which reconciles all our differences, be with us forever. Whatever, I don't. It'll be with us a long time. Have a wonderful afternoon. Oh, Jim.
There's chocolate cake in the portico.
Ah! Stampede!